Welcome to the Nothing Much Just Chillin' Show with your hosts Emma and Julio. Nothing much, just chillin' show. Nothing much, just a chillin'.
Welcome back to NMJC, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Emma, and this is Nothing Much Just Chillin', my podcast. That's not really a podcast. It's more of a heart-to-heart between friends, and we're all friends here. So if you want to be my friend, please follow this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to me on YouTube. It would make my day, really. I have had a very busy few weeks. I have another temp job right now, which is really great, awesome, love money, but it's a lot. It's a lot to have so many jobs, but it's fine. I'm flowing with it more this week. It's all right. I can handle it. And you know what? A big reason why I can handle it is because Julio takes care of a lot of things. And this week he has been on his shit. Like, honestly, he's making me dinner right now. He's made me dinner the past 2 nights. He's planning on making me dinner every day this week because he had a week where he could work from home. I think the only day he's going in is tomorrow, Thursday. So he's just been cleaning, doing stuff for me, cooking for me, making sure I'm okay, like emotionally. And he's been the best. He's the best boyfriend in the world. And I'm very, very lucky to have such a supportive partner and somebody who can like pick up the slack when I'm down, when I'm going through it, or when I just have like a bunch of shit going on and it's all, when life's overwhelming, it's just really nice to have somebody to pick up the slack. But last week when I was getting really overwhelmed, I was just thinking to myself, I still think to myself all the time, like, how do people have jobs? How do people have full-time jobs? How do people go into an office at like 7 or 8 and leave at like 5 or 6 every day? Every day. When I was working that finance temp job last year, I would get in at 7 and I would leave at 5. And there would be people, most people would be there before me and everyone would stay after me. Crazy to think about how you're just living your life in an office from 6 a.m. to like 7 p.m. every single day. They must be making like a lot of money, but like for what? What are you going to use the money on? A more comfortable chair to sit in at your desk? I don't understand. Why do people have jobs? Obviously people need jobs because capitalism and because our society and stuff, but I just wish we didn't. I just wish we didn't have to work because I just see so many people at all my temp jobs who are just living this like soulless life, and they come to me because I'm a temp and they feel like they can, trust me or vent to me because I'm not really like a part of the company. So I get a lot of times people sharing their feelings, their honest thoughts on working and the company and whatever with me. And I feel so bad. I'm like, what? But also like, you chose this, but also they didn't because they just need a fucking job. Everyone needs a job. And I have a lot. I have a lot of jobs just to make one decent living. And you know what? That's okay right now because I like switching things up. I like having multiple streams of income. I like that I'm giving myself opportunities now to flow with my creativity and not put all the pressure on myself to make all my money from photo and video. And I'm doing different things to make money that aren't like my passion, because like I was explaining in last week's episode, and like you guys have heard me talk about all the time, like you get burnt out that way. You get burnt out when you're focusing so much on making your creativity your profession. It's exhausting. So I'd rather be exhausted working for somebody else while also working on my dreams than just burning out and not wanting to pursue my passion at all because I'm like, I hate this. That would suck. So what I wanted to talk about today, and you can probably tell by the title, it's going to be about religion, my thoughts on religion and how I grew up without religion. And I'm just going to say right now, disclaimer, I am not an expert on religion. I'm just speaking from my personal experience here, and I may say stuff, and I may have said stuff in past episodes where, I don't know, a lot of people who grew up with religion or who are very religious could be turned off by or not like that I said certain things. Like I'm pretty sure I said in a past episode how I think all religion is a cult. And I do think that. But that is my opinion. And it does not have to be yours. And it does not make your feelings about religion or your relationship with religion any less than just me saying that. I'm just coming from a place of growing up without religion and knowing that I did just fine. Sorta. I mean, obviously you guys know I'm not fine, but you guys know what I mean. Anyways, so the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because Julio and I went to see a movie this past weekend. We went to see the movie Are You There, God? It's Margaret, and it is based on a Judy Blume book. I assume it was a great book because I really enjoyed the movie and I assumed that I would like the book, but it reminded me a lot about myself, honestly. Where was this book? Why did I never read this book? I have no idea what was going on that nobody told me to read this book. I feel gypped of my childhood. Like I think I needed this book when I was a teenager because I was super confused about religion for a really long time. So having this book, I feel like, I mean, if it's anything like the movie, obviously books are different than the movie, but having this book, I think would have helped me understand that it's okay. It's okay that I don't know what I am and I don't have a general feeling of like, oh, I am this religion, or I don't feel connected to a certain culture, because you know what? That's okay. I'm okay with it now, but I feel like back then I was searching for something, but in the end, I found it in myself. So let's get started. Again, if you are offended by anyone talking bad about religion, please just click off this video. Okay, so I grew up without religion. My mom is Jewish, she's Russian Jew, and my dad is agnostic. My mom's family, all Jewish. My dad's mom is, I think, Catholic. I know there's like a big difference between Catholic and Christian. I mean, is there? Is it big? I don't know. But my Benoy, my dad's mom, is Catholic and his dad is Buddhist. And growing up, my dad worked in a lot of churches. He's a musician, so he would play organ. He was even a choir director once at a church. I think it was in Episcopalian church. See, that's the other thing. These religions, they all have their like subsects, and it's confusing. But I think he was the choir director for an Episcopalian church, I'm pretty sure. And I remember he said when he was going through the interview process with them, they asked him like, oh, well, what religion are you anyways? I mean, it doesn't matter to us, but what are you? And my dad was like, well, my wife is Jewish, my mom is Catholic, my dad is Buddhist, and I'm flexible. And he got the job. I don't know all my dad's thoughts on religion, but he's agnostic, which I think means that you believe in God, but you don't adhere to a specific religion. And you don't necessarily think that like one God is above the others. You just believe in a general being. But yeah, also I'm very thankful for all the jobs that he got through churches, because that was how he supported our family. And also I think the choir director, that job that he had at this church, was during the 2 years that my sister and I were both in college, and that shit is expensive, right? So I'm very grateful that he had that job and that he liked the people there. And it's just, yeah, he's just not religious. We're just not religious people. And I know I said that my mom is Jewish, so I think that inherently makes me Jewish. But I don't really think that way because my mom's not that religious. Growing up, we would celebrate Hanukkah, but that was really the only Jewish holiday that we would celebrate. I mean, I guess I would go to some of my Jewish relatives' house for Passover. I loved matzo ball soup. That's the thing for me. Religion comes down to food. You know, at Hanukkah, I was like, bring me the latkes. Bring me the little what the fuck is it called? The chocolate, the gelt. Bring me the gelt. I loved those things. So to me, being Jewish was eating latkes and eating matzo ball soup. And I was fine with that in my mind. I was like, yeah, that's what we that's what we eat. My family's very big on food. We're all foodies, all of us. So a lot of my memories growing up are centered around food. And it's also the way that I relate to a lot of the cultures that I was brought up in. What is Christian food or Catholic food? Do they have any like specific foods? I don't know. Does any other religion have specific foods? I mean, I know Buddhism, they're mainly vegetarian. My omnoi, my my grandpa is not vegetarian. I'm not sure the reason why he's Buddhist, and I'm not sure why he's not vegetarian if he is Buddhist, because I think that's like a big thing with Buddhism. You know, like animals are sacred. It's kind of like veganism. Not that I'm saying like it's wrong of him to eat meat if he's Buddhist, but I'm just curious because I thought that was like a big thing about Buddhism, but I might be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, and then growing up, we celebrated Christmas, but we didn't celebrate Easter. Like the only holidays that we celebrated were Thanksgiving, which is just, well, you guys know what it is. It's fucked, but I do love some mashed potatoes. So we celebrated Thanksgiving, we celebrated Hanukkah, and when we celebrated Hanukkah, like I said, I was all about the food, and I was all about the one present a night thing. Loved that. One present a night for 8 nights. But I guess the only real religious part of the Hanukkah celebration for us was we would say the prayer while lighting the menorah. I just didn't feel like it was like a religious thing for me. I was just kind of like, oh, it's history, you know, whatever Judah and the Maccabees and, you know, the oil lit the light for 8 days or whatever. Like I was like, oh, it's a history lesson. I never thought of it as faith. I think I went to temple like a couple times in my life. I think I went to temple because my grandpa, my mom's dad, he played the oh my god, what the fuck is it called? I need to Google this right now. Shofar. He played the shofar at temple. I don't know. Mom, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember going at least one time to see him do that. And then, yeah, we really never went to like actual church. Not actual. That's, why did I say it like that? Not actual church, but like not temple church, like Christianity, Catholic church. Like the only time that I went to any other church was to go see my dad play the organ or be the choir director or whatever. And I did go a couple times, I guess, with family members. Like I remember going to a church that was like a mega church in Georgia, you know, one of the ones that like they just like play. It's basically like a rock concert. I went to one of those once. That was interesting. So the only time I really went to church growing up was to see my dad play and for funerals. So in my mind, I was like, oh, a church is where dead people are. So when I was younger, I would be so fucking scared. I would like think that like dead bodies were in the doors of the churches, and yeah, it was just I really psyched myself out when I was younger about that. I think I've said in a NMGC podcast episode, one of the ones in season 1, about how like I fear churches. Like that's one of my main fears is churches and religion, because it's just a cult to me. It's literally a cult. So when I was in elementary school, I really tried to understand religion. And I remember when all the holidays were going on in December and how we did stuff for Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa around that time in school, I was always like, well, why don't we celebrate Kwanzaa? Like we celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas. Like why wouldn't we celebrate Kwanzaa too? Because in my mind, I'm like, well, we're not religious anyways. So maybe these are just celebrations. Maybe what am I missing out on? I just didn't know. So one year I celebrated Kwanzaa by myself. I told my family, I'm like, I'm going to celebrate Kwanzaa. Does anybody want to celebrate with me? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay. So I just celebrated it in my room. That sounds so weird to say, but I was just like, I gotta know what is going on with this. Like, I gotta know what's up with this. Like, why are we not celebrating this as well? Like, I think we should do all the celebrations. Not even like thinking that like any of it had anything really to do with like religion. But yeah, when I was younger, I just didn't know anything about God or the Bible or anything, because my parents just never talked to me about it. They never talked to me about it. They never instilled any form of religion in me. besides just saying a prayer while lighting the menorah. And I did know that half of my family was Jewish. Like I would go to bat mitzvahs, bar mitzvahs, or whatever for them. And I knew that the other half was probably mostly like Christian Catholic. I knew that people in my family on both sides were religious. I just also was very aware that my family was not. And I didn't understand why. And that's why I just feel like Margaret. I feel like Margaret and Are You There, God? It's Margaret. Like I felt like that. I was just like, what am I? But also like, what the fuck is up with this? And you know how she, in the movie, in the book, she does like a research project on religion. And I didn't really do a research project on religion like for school, but I did it kind of myself. So when I was in, I think 5th grade, my sister came home from a birthday party. She went to a girl's birthday party and she came home with a Bible. And it was purple and cute. So I'm guessing that's why Olivia took it home, because she loves things that are cute and pretty. So it's a very pretty Bible. But do I think that she opened it once to read it? Probably not. Olivia, let me know if you did. But I don't think she ever read it or was interested. I think she was just like, oh, thanks, and like took it home, because I think it was like a parting gift for the party, which is fucking weird. Like that is some cult shit. You're gonna have your 11, 12-year-old daughter hand out Bibles at the end of her birthday party to people who are Jewish. Wait, do Jews like the Bible too? I don't understand the whole like Old New Testament thing. My mom explained it to me once, but I can't remember it right now. But anyways, she took the Bible home and I was just so curious. So I was like, you know what? Let me see what's up. Let me see what's up with this fucking purple Bible. So I read it. I didn't read all of it because I stopped at a certain point. And that certain point, I don't know what it was called. Like, I don't remember the, John's 3:14, whatever thing. I stopped at a part where it said that non-believers wouldn't make it into heaven or something like that. And I immediately, my 11-year-old self was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I can't take anything in this fucking book seriously right now because of this statement, because this is obviously not true, because I knew that there was so many different religions in the world. I knew that there was so many different people that I immediately, when I read that, I was like, that is a bullshit lie. That is absolutely untrue. And I stopped reading because I was like, okay, well, I got my answer. This thing is wrong. I'm so sorry if you're listening to this and you do believe in the Bible and you believe in all that. You can have your opinion. I can have mine. I think it's bullshit. If you believe in it and it keeps you from doing bad stuff in the world, then keep reading it, please. And then in middle school, I met this friend who, it was a very like short-lived friendship. That's why I don't really remember it like very clearly. But I met this girl, befriended this girl who is Jewish. She brought me to this like Jewish club. It was like a youth group, but for Jewish girls. And so I would go to these like meetings or hangouts that they would have, and it would literally just be that. It would just be hanging out. They would be eating food. We wouldn't even be talking about anything about Judaism, which is what I kind of wanted, because I just wanted to know like what was up, like why are we doing this? Like why are we Jewish? Like what's going on? What do we believe? Like what is the teen girl version of following a religion? And I think it's just that it's eating snacks and playing games, I guess. I think that's it. So I was like, okay, I can get down with this, I guess. So I went to a couple of them, and then after a while I was just like, this feels wrong. I don't feel right about this. And it pretty much sums up my relationship with religion growing up. I don't feel right about this. This feels wrong. It feels wrong that people are saying that they believe in this thing and that's why they want to be a good person. Or, oh my God, one of my notes here. I forgot to say when I was talking about Christmas that I was more, again with the food, I was more interested in making cookies for Santa and feeding the reindeer than I was about like celebrating Jesus's birthday. Okay, yeah. So basically nobody in my family ever talked to me about religion. Like not even my grandparents. My Catholic grandma never talked to me about Catholicism. My Buddhist grandpa never talked to me about Buddhism. My Jewish grandparents never talked to me about Judaism. My mom never really talked to me about it other than to like explain things when I asked her questions. My dad didn't really talk about being agnostic. But after I read the Bible, I was feeling more confused because I was like, why are people taking this as like the sacred word of their life? And I was just really confused about what religion was because it seemed like everybody else had one except for me, or felt like they had one, felt connected to one except for me. So one day I asked my dad, what is religion? And he said, religion is anything that you believe in. And I go, well, what is ours? And he goes, well, I believe in music, so music is my religion. And I was like, okay, yeah, I believe in music too. I was really musical growing up, played a lot of instruments. My dad, he's a pianist, he's a musician, he's a piano teacher. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I am too. That's what I am. Music is my religion. And I remember he got me like a music note necklace to wear around my neck because everybody else had like crosses. And I remember feeling like, okay, this is it. This is not me, not me getting emotional about this, but I was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is what I believe in. I believe in music. My dad's a musician. Like, one of the best things in my life is hearing him play the piano and watching him perform. So yeah, that's what it is. And I feel close to God in a way when I'm practicing my music, when I'm playing my instruments. So I felt very connected to that when he said it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Screw this Bible. Screw this Jewish club. Screw all of this. I am music. That's what I am. And then I started becoming friends with a lot of kids who went to parochial school. Parochial means religious school. And so I had a lot of friends in these schools, which also like confused the shit out of me. I'm like, why is school religion? Like, you have religion classes in school? Like, that's weird because there's so many. But I guess, it was a school for just one religion, obviously. I was like, what? How can that happen? But these people that I was friends with and like the people that I heard about like at their schools, it just seemed to me that the people with the most strict, conservative, religious family and, how they grew up, the people that were raised in that environment were like the shittiest people. Sorry. They were the ones who were like cheating on their boyfriends and girlfriends and doing drugs and drinking alcohol, getting so drunk at like a very, very young age. And like, what is good about religion if the most religious people I know are fucking terrible people? So yeah, I was just very aware at my middle school age that I'm like, okay, yeah, being religious does not make you a good person. It actually might make you a shittier person, because if you're raised in such strict rules and always told like what you can and can't do, kids are going to be kids. They're going to act out. And I really didn't have many rules growing up. My parents weren't very, what's the word? I don't know. They just like weren't very strict. Like, I didn't have many rules growing up. And I think that's why I just, in my mind, like made up my own rules for myself. And why, like, I didn't have religion. I didn't have a heaven to fear getting into, but in my mind I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to be a good person. I just believed so strongly that like being a good person was just the right thing to do in life, despite not believing that like I had to be a good person to get into heaven, or I feared going to hell, right? Like I didn't think about that stuff, and I'm so glad that I didn't. I'm so glad that that stuff wasn't indoctrinated in me. I'm so glad that I grew up without religion, because what an awful time that might have been for me, because I'm a very like superstitious person. So if I was raised with religion, I'd be like, oh my God, I shouldn't have that impure thought. I'm going to hell because of it. Like I would have lived a very stressful, anxiety-ridden life if I had these like larger than life rules put on me by adults when I was only a kid trying to figure out how to be a kid. And then the older I got, the more I experienced and observed people using like justifying their hate because of their religion, as I'm sure we all know, right? Like homophobia, parents not accepting their child if they're gay, bi, trans, lesbian, all of that. So in my mind, I was like, why would somebody want to be a part of something that looks down on certain people? Because isn't the Bible saying like love thy neighbor? But apparently it also says that gay people are bad, or gay people won't get into heaven or something. And then there's people who are like, God made two genders and, all that bullshit. So I was like, what? Why would anybody be into this? Like, this seems like not a right thing. This seems like you're actually going to hell. If you hate on people, if you're justifying your hate with religion, that seems like a one-way ticket to hell to me. Sorry. If hell exists, which I don't think it does, but that kind of hate, hating people for their sexual preference or what gender they identify with, that seems like not a good way to get into heaven. Are you guys still with me? Or are you like, this bitch doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about? And I don't know what I'm talking about because I grew up without religion. And like I said, I tried to research it. I tried to do my best to understand it. And I tried, and I was like, no, heart, it's not for me. And that's totally fine. I don't care what religion you are, because you should do whatever feels right to you. You should believe in whatever you want to believe in. I just personally could not give two shits about God or religion or any of it, because I haven't navigated life that way, thinking that there's like something greater than that is, well, you know what, that's not true, because I believe in karma. I would say I'm not a religious person, I'm more of a spiritual person. Like, I believe in karma, I believe in the universe. I truly believe in all that stuff, and I've seen how it works out in my life. And you could be sitting there thinking like you believe in God and you've seen how God has worked in your life, and that's totally fine, because that's what's so great about the human race. We're all different and we're all individuals, and we can all have our individual beliefs and morals. And if believing in a certain religion, if abiding by those certain practices and rules and commandments and all that stuff leads you to be a better person in life, that's great. I think it just doesn't really hold up if it goes the other way, if it's allowing you to be a shitty person and to hate, or if you're a parent and you're putting all these rules on your kid and you're scaring them and making them think that they're not going to go to heaven if they're gay, if they like the same sex, or if they're bi, or if they think that they were born as the wrong gender. Like that's wrong. That's just wrong. But yeah, religion, it just seems to me very outdated, ancient. Like, who wrote this fucking book, Did Jesus write it? I have no idea. Or his disciples, descendants? What the fuck? The mentors? So in the movie, Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. Margaret's dad is Jewish, and her mom was raised from like a very strict religious household. And they, played by Rachel McAdams, who's so hot in that movie. Rachel McAdams, what's her name? Barbara's parents disown her when she marries a Jewish man, because it's against their strict set of rules, against their religion, for her to marry a religious man, and they don't want to be in her life. And then Margaret's two sets of grandparents, well, her Jewish grandma and the religious Christian grandparents, when they meet, there is a lot of hostility, basically. And so at the end of this like research project about religion, Margaret writes this letter to her teacher saying that what she's learned about religion is that it causes people to hate each other. So she doesn't know. She doesn't know about religion, because what she has observed, what she has seen, is that it's a form of hate. It's a form of struggle and battle and fighting in families, and it causes people not to get along. And so I really relate to Margaret, because when I was her age, I was very well aware of the hate that religion caused as well. So I just decided, fuck it. I'm going to be atheist. I'm not going to believe in God or anything. But then when I got older, I found out about spirituality and the universe and all that stuff, and that became clear to me. And also like veganism, it's not a religion, but it is a way of life, and it spoke very deeply to me. You know, I don't want to cause harm. I don't want to cause any unnecessary harm in the world. And I'm really fortunate that I found veganism because it does feel right to me. It does connect with me. And in some ways it is kind of religion. And there's some horrible vegans as well. Like that's the thing. Like in every religion, there's horrible people and there's good people. And that's with everything in life. Like even like where you live, right? People say shit about LA people all the time, but there's good and bad people wherever you go in the world. There's good people who have bad days. There's bad people who have good days, you know? You just catch somebody on a bad day and you're like, fuck, that's an awful, shitty person. That's the scum of the earth. But they might have just gotten a call that their mom died or that something awful just happened to their pet, or, you know, like it's just, you never know what people are going through and you never know what someone believes in. And I don't think religion should be as big of a deal in the world still today. I get that religion has been a huge part of life for many people, for entire countries, for governments for so long, but I think we've moved past that, really. I think it's just time to just be people here on earth, you know? But I don't know. Those are my like unfiltered thoughts about religion. Please don't be too mad at me if I kind of flamed you or your religion or anything like that. Like I really don't mean to be mean or rude about it. I'm just trying to share my perspective of how I grew up without a religion and how I think that was the best thing for me. And I think if you are going to be a parent, I think you should do what Margaret's parents did for her. Just allow her to grow up and think about it for herself and not indoctrinate somebody at such a young age with a whole set of beliefs that probably don't like make sense even at that age, like why you're doing certain things. And I don't think that a kid is gonna like get that Jesus died for our sins and that he, you know, rose on Easter or whatever, and then there's a fucking bunny. Like I think a bunch of it is just so weird, and kids should be taught to like be good people, but I don't think that they should be taught to be good people just because if they're not, they can't get into heaven. I just think like instilling fear in children because of their religion is always going to be a bad thing. If I have kids, they are not going to have a religion. They are not going to be baptized. They are not going to go to church. They are not going to go to temple. They are not going to even know about the fucking Bible. Because I want them to be good people, not because of religion, but because they're just good people. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts on religion are, guys. Please. I want to know. And if you disagree with me, that's totally fine, because I feel like a lot of people do. I think I'm in the minority. Obviously, nobody has like my same experience, but I don't think many people grow up without religion. I don't think, I mean, that's what's so great about the movie, the book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Like I really related to Margaret, this character, because I grew up being like, well, my mom's Jewish, my dad's whatever the fuck he is. So like, what am I? This is all so confusing because everyone else seems to know who they are, what holidays they celebrate, when they go to church. I was just confused, but I was just taught to be a good person. I don't know who I would have been. I probably would have been a worse person, to be honest, if I had relied on something to make me a good person rather than just knowing and learning and understanding my own self. I highly recommend the movie, and I might even read the book. Okay, guys, that's it for me this week. I'm going to stop digging myself into a deeper hole with all this religion talk. And yeah, I love you guys so much, no matter what religion you are, no matter what you believe in. I know that you're a good person if you're listening to this, and you're my friend. So I support whatever you believe in and what religion that feels right to you. So thank you guys for chilling with me this week, and I will see you next time.
Nothing much, just a chillin'.